I've been teaching lately, and I've been teaching in like places like Rikers Island, where the kids are actually good, but it's actually the regular New York City public schools, some of them I go to, where the kids are really, really, really tough. And they say some things and do some things, which, at least for a few minutes, I'm just like, "Ugh, ouch."
Well, can you step back far enough to see them in step one? In other words, are they step one-ing? Step one, contrast caused them to ask. Step two, source answers. So, and we started this seminar today saying that when you ask for things that you haven't figured out how to be a vibrational match to, you've expanded, but you're not letting yourself go, and you don't feel good. And so when you see those kids, all that's happened is you're witnessing expansion that they are not allowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they wouldn't feel angry or abusive. They wouldn't belittle others. They wouldn't be hard on themselves or anyone if they hadn't expanded to a place that they can't figure out how to go.
Yeah.
But you figured out how to go there, and that's why this conversation that we're having with you is so satisfying to us, because you see Esther's figured out how to go someplace that you haven't completely figured out how to go, but you've figured out how to go places that these kids haven't completely figured out how to go to. In other words, we're all in this together, and we're all teaching through the clarity of our example, but when you see them hurting because they're spread out too far from who they are and who they're allowing themselves to be, and in that separation, then they offer a statement that you take it in an uncomfortable way. Now, all that's happened is that you join them in the discomfort, and you're not bothered by what they say. You're not bothered by what they're doing. You're bothered because they caused you to expand, and then your attention to them didn't let you take your expansion. That's so worth saying over and over again. That's why we say it over and over again. So they had an experience with someone that caused them to expand, but then their attention to that person that caused them to expand is what keeps them from taking their expansion. And so then you come along and you see them struggling, which causes you to expand. In other words, you can't have a relationship with anyone. Hear this. We haven't talked about this a great deal, and it's so right on what we're talking about here. You cannot have an experience with anyone, but let's talk about these kids that you're teaching. When you have an experience with them, whether you know it or not, you put a version of them in your vibrational escrow. If they're angry, you put them there feeling better. If they're sick, you put them there as well. If they're abusive, you put them there as feeling better and treating people better. If they are mistreating, you put them there as being treated well. In other words, every exposure to every one of them causes you to put a version of them in your vibrational escrow, which means you expanded to a new place and used them as your object of attention to do it. Then, as you look back at them as they are, it tears you apart. That's what we were talking about earlier. They caused you to expand, and now it feels like they're keeping you from the expansion that they caused. Feeling how this all fits together? They caused you to step one. Source joined you with that knowledge of who they really are. And now you're observing them, and since they didn't get there yet, they're still over there right where they were, but they caused you to move on. So your discomfort, we'll just say it as bluntly as we can, your discomfort isn't about them, it's about you. Mm-hmm. Your discomfort is because you expanded and you're using them now as your excuse not to go. And that's what we meant earlier when we said that makes them extra, extra problematic, because you're all tied together vibrationally. They hooked in, vibrationally speaking, a piece of them is in your escrow. So you're, in essence, eternally tied to them. That's what we mean when we say every relationship is eternal. You had a relationship with them, and now you became more, and now there's no separating the you that you became from the them that inspired the becoming. And when you look back at the very root of what inspired your becoming, and you don't let yourself become, they feel like the problem. So the answer is, so they prod you. Let's use some real words. They prod you, they taunt you, they abuse you, they misuse you into your expansion. And in any case, you got to say thanks. in any case, you just got to say, And when you're over there, oh, you feel it. When you look back, you say, damn. Give us an example of some behavior that is not tolerated by the system that you are expected to address and deal with. What's an example of it? A rule they break, some evidence of their rebellion that you feel is your charge to quell.
Okay, so if somebody is completely disruptive, I mean, to the point where we cannot move forward. So there's someone who's continually, they never, ever stop talking. They never, ever stop texting and talking on the phone and yelling across the room and, you know.
All right, so...
And if I address that, they'll actually curse at me, you know.
So...
I don't want to ruin your little tape and say what they say.
Got it. So there you are, and there they are in their disruption. And their disruption is based upon, now you can take it as they're disrespecting me, or they're disrespecting the system, or they're disrespecting the other members of the classroom. Or you could say they are having a step one experience which is causing an expansion for me and an expansion for the others in the classroom and even an expansion for them. Now, here's the question that we want to put to you. So that's just happened. What do you think they would say? Now, you might say they wouldn't hear it, but let's assume that somehow you get their attention. Let's assume that the universe has arranged a moment in time when they actually are listening to what you're saying. You've found some clever way of just imparting something so short and so to the point that they're actually hearing it. So what do you think their response would be to something that sounds like this? Hey, I hear you. School sucks. In fact, so does life, for the most part. What do you think they would say to that? Would they think you were patronizing them? Would they hear it?
Sometimes they wouldn't even hear it.
All right, so let's assume that you just slammed something down on the desk which got everybody looking up at you, even the one who is startled and now listening, and you just proclaim that life as you see it and as it is, and certainly right here, right now, in this mess of a classroom where you're just trying to do what you want to do and they're just trying to do what they want to do, in this moment, life sucks, and let's all just accept it. In other words, it does. In other words, you're starting someplace, and then say to them, but in the process of all of us, you don't want to be here, I don't want to be here, I don't want to deal with you, you don't want to deal with me. None of us are having a happy dance here. We're all sort of trapped here in this jail-like thing that they call school, where we're all obligated to be here. And the bottom line is, something just happened here that I'm aware of and you're not aware of. And that is, in my relationship with you, I have, and I got to tell you, I wouldn't have it this way if I could do anything about it, because I'd just as soon not have anything to do with you, but I just got hooked into you. You just hooked me into you. You hooked me into you by having this attitude, and now I have, and I don't want it, say to him, I have an opinion about who you are that is such a variance from who you're being that even looking at you tears me apart. I'd just soon not look at you, because I can't see you as I know you are and see you as you are pretending to be and feel good at the same time. So then say, I got two choices. I can take my attention completely away from you, but when I do that, you just get louder. You just get more disruptive. I can take my attention completely away from you, or I can see you as you really are. You're brilliant, by the way. You don't know it, but I do. Or I can see you as you are being. I've got those three choices. I can withdraw my attention completely, which doesn't work. You just get louder. I can see you as you are, which doesn't work because it rips my guts out because who you're being is not who you are, or I can see you as you are. And so, friend, I'm pronouncing to you forevermore that through this process of us wrestling each other to the ground all day, every day, I've got a picture of you that doesn't even come close to matching who you're being. And it is my promise from this moment forward, I will never again see you as you are. I will practice all day seeing you as you really are. And then say, you know what I do at night when I go to sleep? I think about who you really are. You're smart, not stupid like you act. You're nice, not rude like you act. You're progressive and productive and financially secure, not like you are currently behaving. I see you as you are. And I got to tell you, didn't come easy. Because for the first 100 days that I went home from school, all I could see is who you're being. But I practiced myself into alignment with who you really are. And when I focus on who you are, life is sweet for me. And when I focus on who you behave, you asshole, life is not sweet for me. So I got to tell you, this is self-preservation going on here. I'm seeing you as you are, as you really are, not because you deserve it, but because I do. So deal with it. And now I'm sleeping better because I know your success is assured whether you ever find it or not. I've found it for you and I feel great. And you can let me guide you in subtle ways and not so subtle ways. I can show you how to be happy. I can show you how to get the cash. I can show you how to get whatever you are wanting. But we have to play it my way, not your way. And my way is I always feel good when I focus upon it. So I'm not going to ask you to stop being abusive here because I'm not sure if you can be. I'm just going to tell you, you're not going to suck me in anymore in that way because I've got the picture of who you really are so well implanted. And then you got to do it. In other words, you've got to make lists. We would take that one, the most disruptive one, and we would make lists of positive aspects. We would, in fact, you might even do it for a while before you have this conversation. But we would have this conversation. We would have it in front of the class. And we would practice it until it feels good to you. And we would let the tears flow down your face as you tell them, if you feel like it. We would let this person know that from the bottom of your heart, from the soul of that which is you, that you care deeply, 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 deeply about their well-being. But you're going to play the game of their improvement your way, not their way. And in any case, you're going to thrive, and their thriving is their option.
That was very, very, very healing. And I felt like you healed them.
All we did, and it was a lot, we focused upon what you've got over there in escrow and stayed on it until you came over there. And so your relationship with this person has changed, and you will notice it the first interaction that you have. In other words, this is what we're talking about dealing with things vibrationally. You never have to actually have that conversation with someone when you have this experience yourself. It's your alignment that's necessary, not theirs.